I just don't like to slump. So.
Nope, yeah, the no slumping. No slump zone.
What?
You have great posture.
Good, thanks.
Hi, I'm Carrie Kerpen, and you're watching Work It, a show designed to help women find their own secrets for success in business and life. You've probably heard this advice before. Go with your gut. But it's more than just a trite saying. It's actually an effective decision-making method. Here to talk to me about how to make better decisions by going with your gut is Dawn Hudson, the Chief Marketing Officer of the NFL. Dawn, tell me why people need to go with their gut.
I think that because we're not robots,
Yeah.
right? Right? We are intuitive, thinking, emotional people, and that gut is a part of you. And I wouldn't say go only with your gut,
Right.
but the opportunity is to marry the rational side of your brain with the intuitive side of your brain. And I think when you do those two together, you'll make better decisions.
So for you, you got a call. To me, I would think that my gut would be screaming, do it, do it, do it, because it's the biggest dream job of all time. When you got a call in 2014 from Roger Goodell saying he was looking for a female to lead the marketing at the NFL. Tell me about that experience, how you approached it, and what happened with your gut there.
His request of me was that he wanted to bring different perspective to sports.
Okay.
And he wanted to bring a female onto the senior staff and somebody that maybe hadn't grown up in sports. And yet he knew that I knew sports, so he thought I would be really terrific. And he had no idea, and he also thought, based on what our experience working together was, that I knew the NFL well. But he had no idea if I was free to or not. So if I wasn't available, would I help him find the right woman who could take this position? So the rational side of my brain kicked in. And the rational side of my brain said, well, I'm in the process of selling a boutique consulting firm that I worked for 5 years.
Yep.
And I hadn't been a chief marketing officer at that point in 10 years.
Okay.
And I thought, well, this isn't for me. This is not my path. This is not what I was thinking about.
So logic said no.
Logic said, this is not on your path and what you're thinking of doing. So I said, I'm really flattered that you would call me. I absolutely will help you find the right person. And I promise I'll give it some thought.
Okay.
So I put the phone down. I don't think the phone is even down onto the desk that I don't think my emotion doesn't kick in. Whoa, that would be a really fun job.
Of course.
So I started within a matter of a half hour thinking, I might really want to do this. So I picked up the phone in the morning at 8 o'clock and I called him. And I think he was like, well, Dawn, I thought we were talking a couple of days. I said, well, I thought about it. And I actually think I'd like to do this.
So you've had to make a lot of decisions in your career. Tell me about the one that you found the most challenging.
For me, given that I spent most of the earlier parts of my career in the agency business, and because I looked up and I didn't see a lot of women, very, very, very few, running large offices of advertising agencies, my ambition was to be a president or a managing director of a large agency in New York or Chicago. And I got the opportunity when I was 38 years old to go and to leave Omnicom after 10 years.
Wow.
And to go and join Darcy Macis, Betton & Bowles, now part of Publicis, and be the head of the New York office with just under 1,000 employees, Procter & Gamble's largest agency, and they needed to take a chance and a risk to do something differently, and they were willing to take the risk on me, and that was fabulous. I was clearly very different for the agency. It was a very traditional, a little more old boys world agency. To thrust this young woman into was very different. But a year later, when I felt things were stabilizing and I still had a lot to go in my vision, and I was, if you will, living my dream.
Yes.
A former client who was CEO of Frito-Lay at the time, he then went on to be CEO of PepsiCo, called me up to have dinner. And he wasn't a very social guy, so I sort of know if he's asked me to dinner, he's probably got something he wants to talk to me about in business.
Yes.
And what he presented to me was the opportunity to join PepsiCo as head of sales and marketing for Frito-Lay internationally.
But you were living your best life. You were living your dream in your current role.
So what's your first, rational point is, well, I can't do that now.
Right. This is your career trajectory.
Career.
This was what you set out to do. And you set out to lead an agency in New York, right? I mean, you were there.
Right. So
what happened?
As I was finishing the interviewing process at PepsiCo, I had to interview with the CEO of the corporation, PepsiCo, that owned Frito-Lay. And I sat down and talked with him, and we did the interview, and it was all fine. And I finally said, and I knew that he loved the agency business, and he loved advertising. So I thought he was a great person to ask to kind of sell me on why this creative person in a creative agency would want to go and step onto the PepsiCo track. Fully expecting him to give me all the logical answers in the world. And he didn't at all. He said, Dawn, he said, I would actually make it pretty simple for yourself. He said, I would think about who you want to hang out with. That's CEO of the corporation. Who do you want to hang out with? And his logic was that you end up spending more waking hours with people at work than you do in your personal life, right or wrong. And it's really important that you feel good about who you work with.
And you can't logic that out, right? That's pure gut.
Pure
right?
gut.
That's a pure emotion, just like stomach ache. Who do I want to hang out with? Let me think about it. Okay. There's no logic that can help you make that decision. So he was teaching you just to go with your gut.
And so I said, thank you for the time. What did I think about that night? I thought about what it was like to work at the agency I was then at and the people I was working with. And then I thought back to my days of when I worked in their account and who I hung out with there. And it became really clear to me that the diversity of experience at PepsiCo and the different kinds of people and working with finance and sales and marketing was so stimulating to me. And I love the people that I culturally fit better there. And it made my decision so easy.
Incredible.
And then I said, that's it. And then I didn't waffle anymore. I said, logically this is right, and now in my gut, emotionally it's right too. And that was probably the single biggest thing that's propelled my career, because it allowed me to join PepsiCo. It allowed me to gain a job in the global world. It then went on to run Pepsi marketing, and then I became president and CEO. And that wouldn't have happened if I'd stayed on the agency side. Nobody would have called me up and hired me to be,
of course,
probably head of marketing for Pepsi.
Incredible. So tell me, what is next for you? You're now leaving the NFL. You're done.
I just need to take the time to see what's out there, to explore, both with my rational side and my gut, and probably not do anything too quickly. So I'm trying to make myself take, the better part of 6 months to explore. Now, knowing me, something will come along before then.
And you'll just do it because you'll feel it in your gut.
Right.
And the logic will be there and the gut will be there. Well, Dawn, I can't wait to see what you do. I'm really, really excited to see what you do. And thank you for coming on the show.